Welcome everyone to the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Abasolo, aka Dr. Abs, and on today's show, we're talking skin health with holistic skin care expert Danny Neifert. Now, Danny is a licensed esthetician with 20 plus years of experience with natural product formulating, as well as hands-on individual treatments with clients. Danny's focus on the power of natural products first began at her place of birth on the Navajo Reservation in Monument Valley, Utah, where she was raised with a respect for the environment and its offerings. She is the author of Relearning Skincare, The Story of Skin and the New Way, where she is a fresh voice and visionary for skin health providers and enthusiasts everywhere. Danny is a clean beauty advocate and speaker who loves to bring skin health back down to earth through story and practicality. She practices in Boulder, Colorado and Santa Barbara, California, where she beautifies skin and spends as much time as possible surrounded by nature. I can't wait to talk skin health with Danny, so let's bring on Danny Neifert. Danny, welcome to the Healthcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Great. So you are a holistic skin care expert. That's like a recession-proof industry right there.
Well, it was a little rough there because part of what I do is I give in-session treatments where one paid thing I do is clean out pores and make sure that people's skin stays clean. So that was a little bit slowed down, but I've been doing a lot of customized Zoom calls and turning out a lot of great content just to help people move in the right direction of, there's this big dilemma. I'll just launch with this we want positive impact to our skin, and we want rejuvenation. And we also have this preference for natural.
Yes.
If, our eyes are open and we're paying attention to, what's happening in the world. And so that's where I come in as a texture expert and somebody that can improve skin health without compromising integrity of ingredients and positive impact to the skin. So I'm also a big contrarian when it comes to a lot of popular treatments.
Absolutely. And how did you get started in all this? Like, give me a little background. Like, what's your story? How did you get involved with skincare?
Well, so I was lucky enough to be born off grid. That's air quotes, but it really is true. In a community with a bunch of people that were very radically committed to nature and health. And so I was raised in the environment that was pretty extreme.
Navajo Reservation, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Part of my childhood. And I'm Anglo,
cool.
I'm white, so I'm not trying to be Pocahontas in any way. And I didn't spend my whole childhood there. And I was also raised by a bunch of Quakers, which are also like very counter mainstream. We believe in nonviolence and solving problems without going to war. So I had this really unusual, I began to learn, upbringing where I was just marinated, if you will, in a whole way of thinking and being that I never questioned until, of course, I had to, until, of course, it collided with mainstream on the grid living.
Yeah.
So, and that set me in a whole direction as well. But I got started in skincare when I was about 19 or 20, almost 30 years ago. Very cool. I just kept going. It started off, me returning to my roots and being natural because I grew up gardening and herb crafting. And there was always this value of natural being like the ultimate, the thing that money couldn't buy.
Absolutely.
And so I went down that path and just wouldn't stop. And aromatherapy, I made everything in my kitchen. I helped some other small companies. I just immersed myself in natural crafting. And initially it was towards health, but then I quickly found my niche of beauty because I'm a double Cancer and I just love textures and smells and just that self-care aspect. Because if it was up to me, I would just do everything either in the bathtub or from the comfort of my own bed.
Yeah, I can
Like,
imagine you took all that natural aspect and you applied it to yourself. Like you were like your own guinea pig.
well, yeah,
I
and my
take it early
family,
on.
and
Yeah.
I had a small company too back then, where I was making essential oils and aromatherapy blends when nobody knew what it was. Like, I
Mm.
would go to art shows and craft shows, and I'd be exhausted because I'd be explaining what essential oils were, and then they were like, "But why are they so expensive?" You know, and so I quit sort of in that niche, but I eventually went to aesthetic school in my late 20s, and I think I was the oldest person there.
That's
And I
crazy.
opened up
Yeah.
my spa afterwards, and I really ran into a lot of problems because, of course, I was trained naturally, and I collided with the clinical camp of skincare, which is all trauma and chemical based.
Yeah.
And it was this big, oh, it was a time of just utter chaos. And I basically just threw everything out the window, everything that I thought I knew about skincare and had read. And I just started discovering from my own experience with me and my clients, my kids, like what actually worked. And I
Yeah.
came across a doctor who invented something called dermal nutrients, which
Mm.
was a really big catalyst for my business, because now there is this way where we can increase cell turnover, we can resurface our skin, but because of topical nutrients, not because of trauma or chemical peels or all the whole long list of things. So it's basically feed, not scrub, and it's nourish to heal instead. So
Interesting.
I spent months and several years streamlining a process that is the skin harmonics method for detoxing and resurfacing somebody's skin, that I can apply to all skin types, all skin situations across the board, whether it's a 10-year-old or a 100-year-old, to increase skin health, all without chemicals, and resurface
Interesting.
it without having to conform to trauma and chemicals, which I will have to say, by the way, is a huge dead end. Like,
Yeah.
I spent so much money and so much time in that camp, and it throws people's skin more off balance. It traumatizes everybody's skin so much and dehydrates it that most people, unless they're on my system, has skin that's highly traumatized, in anxiety, totally out of balance, and is suppressed. It's concreted and suppressed down, and isn't behaving and operating as skin should operate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's been ironed by Botox and injected by injectables.
Ironed by
And
Botox. I
then
like
we
that.
put face filters on. And so people are walking around with a lot of what I call fake happy skin.
Mm.
And the reality is that the conventional practices have got us so off track
Yeah.
of the ultimate goal of not having an illusion around healthy skin, but actually having healthy skin and preserving our beauty through this in the skin way
Yeah.
until we're 100. You know,
Yeah.
it's a long game.
Yeah. I love what you said there with the whole nutrient aspect on the skin rather than the chemical peels and the scrubs, because I'm guilty of that myself. Like
Yeah, well, we all fell in line, and me too. I mean, there's no shame, no guilt, because I drank that Kool-Aid too.
yeah,
And I drink it all the way to the end, where I feel completely airtight about it. And I have the privilege and the luxury of working with thousands of people's skin over the years.
yeah,
So it's just
yeah,
my skin or like a small group of people's skin, I wouldn't have the data to say the brazen things I'm saying. But after thousands of people's skin over 20 plus years
yeah.
of my time, all different economic groups, all different colors of skin, I've come to these conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was always into like the apricot scrubs and
Yeah.
things to like exfoliate. I mean, I suffered from with acne, back in the day, pretty bad. I'm a lot better now, but those are, from what I
No,
heard
they're the
from
go-to.
dermatologists and, skin experts, they cause like little micro tears in your skin and the whole nine.
Right.
So I was like, oh man.
And no, and
So
I'm here to say, like, it's upside down. It's incorrect.
So what is it that, I guess, for that cell turnover that you're talking about, because that's, the cell turnover and the exfoliation, we want to bring in that new beautiful skin to the surface. Like, how do you do it without those harsh chemicals?
Well, there's something called topical stabilized patented dermal nutrients.
Okay.
And it's basically the bioavailable form of vitamin A. And it's this very specific form that our dermal layer recognizes and can directly turn into new skin cells. It doesn't have to convert it multiple times or even
Yeah.
once. It's delivered in a special liposome, the same liposome that's in a transdermal patch. So we're getting this bioavailable nutrient and we're encapsulating it. They've been holistically engineered. This is the thing that I figured out I couldn't make in my kitchen. And there is a doctor that invented this and he patented it, and it's incredible. But because it's patented, I feel like, mainstream's got to get ready for this
Yeah.
because it works. But by applying this substance topically, we can now get our skin making new skin cells without having to scrub it and without having to accelerate the aging process that is associated with over scrubbing, traditional retinol creams, and all of the laser procedures that
I
are
was
out there.
I was gonna ask you that because I'm actually also a huge fan of RetinA.
Yeah.
RetinA, is that basically a chemical version of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, so a good analogy would be like that's the beat up Pinto that you're in.
Okay.
And I've got the like
You got the
2025
Tesla.
Tesla.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna have to get my hands on
4
some of
years
these
in advance
products.
Tesla, not even the now Tesla, 4 years in the future Tesla.
Wow, you're calling your shot into the future, Tesla. I love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about, just the skincare industry in general and what you call the toxic beauty industry matrix. Can you please explain the trifecta of things? You talk about single-use plastic containers, harsh chemical, and synthetics. Can you just talk about that
Yeah,
and
I
why it's
mean,
such a problem?
it's a problem in so many ways. Like, number one, it's the wrong strategy because it's chemical and trauma based. It's
Mm,
this tearing down to air quote rejuvenate when in fact we are putting hard miles in our skin and accelerating our skin's
aging. Yeah.
lifespan. So number one, it's a developmental stage that the industry has needed to go through, and I myself, because dermal nutrients weren't available 20 years ago. This is a
Gotcha.
recent discovery. And so number one, the intention is wrong. We can never heal our skin or anything by adding more trauma. Like,
Mm,
this is just healing physics.
yeah.
Now, we can heal our skin and our lives by increasing blood flow and doing the right amount of stress, sure.
Yeah.
But there's that line that we cross where it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
So, number one, that's like the first thing, is that if you get underneath any skincare line that's clinical, you will find glycolic, lactic, salicylic acids
Mm,
and oil-free moisturizers. We can get into that later. That's like my other big like thing. But so number one, the intention is way off. We cannot heal through trauma. Number
gotcha.
two, yeah, there's constant waste. Like, we as a planet have got to get our, I'm sorry, we've got to get our poop together in this way. Like, we
You
cannot
could
keep
curse. It's okay.
dumping.
Yeah.
I should have used the real cuss word there, but we cannot keep at this level of creating waste. Like, it is
Yeah.
unsustainable. We've known it for years. We must find more efficient ways to do things that considers the health of our planet.
Yeah.
So number
Absolutely.
two, like, that's just a no-brainer that every industry is facing right now. And the beauty industry is very ugly, very, very ugly in that domain. And then the other aspect is there's so much about the beauty industry that is so fear-based. And it's just so driven by profit every month and looping us into addictive places, and it's always from a place of fear. Oh my god, are your pores huge? Let me sell you a million products to reduce the size of your pores. It's just, it sends people, the tone of the beauty industry is just all fear-based, like a lot of industries, where it pokes into people's insecurities and exploits their weaknesses
Yeah.
around their perceived, weak skin deficiencies, basically. And so you put all of that together and it's a mess. Like, the skin industry is an ocean of mess, and everybody's confused. So many people disagree. It's so much about labeling. It's so much about the
Marketing
bling
and
of
yeah.
the product, and it's just a mess.
And
Yeah.
so what advice would you give to somebody out there who's like completely lost? They want to get into skincare. I mean, obviously besides buy your products, but what should they look for overall? Is it just the more natural the better? Like
Well, always, but
how do they stay away from
well,
those
first of all, the first
pitfalls?
thing is to never buy an anti-aging or an acne product, because they're all got chemicals in them, which is like the thing that is people are over cleansing and dehydrating their skin from the scrubbing. Either they're aging their skin faster, or they're dehydrating their skin, which is turning their skin upside down and
Hmm.
putting them in circles. So avoid any anti-aging or acne product, which I know is 90% of the of the industry. People are better off doing minimal to no cleansing, using a little bit of coconut oil, um, and warm water and a washcloth, and steaming their skin to clean it.
So
Like,
that's
that's the
good
honest
enough,
truth.
let's say, for the ladies to get rid of all that makeup and all that
Well,
gunk and
warm
stuff,
water,
or
a little bit of coconut oil and a washcloth does a lot.
does the job?
It
Okay.
does it does quite a bit. And then using a plain mineral spring water for a hydrator, because what you'll find is witch hazel, lavender mists, all of these astringent, air quote again, hydrators, you're better off just with natural spring water, honestly, that has the chlorine removed. And then
Mm.
you can use aloe vera gel as something that's food grade, as the hydrophilic substance that's going to make what I call a water puff cloud. That's going to bring water to your skin. That's pennies. And then use some sort of heavy oil over it. Now, oils are tricky because they're oily. They tend to not be super dense. So some water can escape. But a lot of moisturizers are being sold that are oil free, and they're absolutely useless. They
Mm.
should need to be renamed, because they are not moisturizers at that point. We
Yeah.
must have a layer of lipid or oil in place strategically on top of our hydrated skin, so that that water doesn't evaporate. And so with that, people that are on department store brands and doing I'm not going to say any names, like hardcore chemical peels and all of these fancy products, they are better off with that sequence.
Wow. So glycolic acid, salicylic acid, anything with acid, no good.
No good, except for hyaluronic. Hyaluronic is technically an
Hyaluronic.
acid, but it's
Okay.
more of that water loving substance
Like
that
the
I talked about, and
plumping.
it's
Yeah.
not acidic enough to where it's gonna dissolve our skin.
Gotcha. Okay. You know who's a big lover of oils is my wife. Like she started
Yay!
a new skin care routine, and all she does now, like her nighttime skincare routine, is all oils.
Beautiful.
Definitely shiny skin, but it's so
Yeah.
worth it because I mean it's her skin has gotten so much better,
Oh,
and
I'm so
I mean
happy to
she's
hear
always
that.
beautiful.
People
But
are
yeah,
figuring this out. The people who are really paying attention, they're kind of figuring this out on their own
yeah.
a little bit, which is great. And what I did with my skincare line was I put together the hydrating aspect, the dermal nutrient and dermal antioxidant aspect, and I put together an incredible barrier restoration product as a moisturizer that's super, super dense and doesn't have the oil slick effect that
I,
avocado or jojoba
I was
or
about to ask you that.
rosehip
Like,
seed oils
uh,
would have. Like, it's super dense, so it traps water a million times better.
very
But I
cool.
love, but I will have to say that people go natural, which is great, and they're using cold pressed oils. But what a lot of people don't realize is that most essential oils are
Hmm.
astringent. And so lavender, tea tree, helichrysum, unless it's for a first aid situation, they're all too astringent. And of course, all of the citruses. So companies that are going so-called natural, okay, so let's just say they're not putting the acids in, but they're going for essential oils, and they're going hard, and they're putting them in there to emotionally hook people. But our skin is not into it. Like, our skin does not want astringents on it, and has a hard time dealing with grapefruit, mandarin, orange essential oil, neroli is even too strong. So, but they're hooking people emotionally on the smell, because all of those smell fantastic.
Yeah, of
I love
course.
all those smells, but they need to be separated into like a personal scented oil where you're getting that emotional an energetic hit from it, but you're
Yeah.
not subjecting your face to it where it's only going to cause problems.
Got it. And what do you think about all these collagen supplements that are out there now? There's liquid collagen, there's capsule formulated collagen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic for our gut, which is really important. I mean,
Okay.
our microbiome internally and the microbiome on our skin and the microbiome in our soil out in our garden, like it's we must have this awareness. And collagen is really reparative for our intestines, and
Yeah.
so that is the value of it. But honestly, we are born with our collagen, and the better we preserve it, the more we're going to have it.
The
You
better we're going to look
cannot
as we
put
age. Yeah.
collagen back into your skin. You can stimulate it to a degree with dermal nutrients, and they claim this, and you hear this over and over and over, and it's like the biggest justification for trauma procedures in clinical. It stimulates collagen and elastin. You hear
Mm,
this is like the
yep.
refrain that you hear over and over. And I want to say that if you're getting it through a chemical peel, laser, all of that, it's not worth it. Yes, you might be stimulating it, but you just lost a lot by doing
Mm.
it.
It's like you took 2 steps back to take
And
3 steps forward instead of just
yes, and
moving
it's
forward from
worse.
the
It's worse
beginning.
than that. It's
Yeah.
more like, yeah. The numbers are even worse than that. But yes, it's a net loss by far. And so collagen is, you know, ultimately we have to wear sunscreen because 80% of our visual aging is because of UV loss, and UV is breaking down our collagen.
Mm,
So sunscreen is the major thing, and then not putting extra miles on our skin, and then putting deposits and fortifying the health of our skin by feeding it. Like
yeah.
that's going to get us to the end goal.
Now, I want to talk about sunscreen because I've seen a couple of dermatologists in my day, and I want to know, just to verify from you, as far as the mineral sunscreen versus the chemical sunscreen. I've been told obviously the mineral is the way to go, and is because obviously we know the benefits of sunlight. I mean, what do you suggest as far as how much sun we should get, and as far as the actual
Yeah,
sunblocks or
so
sunscreens?
we are walking plants, and we need sun. And so
Yeah.
it's about finding that sweet spot. Um,
Yeah.
I like to think of us as like shade loving orchids. Like we need some sun,
Yeah.
but we can't burn ourselves in it, because
Correct.
there'll be a lot of issues because of it. So, and I also believe that we need to all the high exposure areas like our face, our necks, our décolletés, our hands, our arms should just be covered, because those are the areas that are going to be so overexposed anyways, just by living, by driving a
Yeah.
car, being out in the world. So sometimes I'll lay it out on my stomach, and hide the fronts of my arms, and just like 10 minutes on my back. 10,
Mm,
just little bits that you don't have to get through your face and your arms, and the
yeah.
areas that are going to get more than their share over a lifetime. The bum is such a great place to like photosynthesis and like let some sunlight in. And bellies are really good for that if you're somebody that doesn't already live at the beach with a bikini on. But if you have a normal lifestyle, like my stomach hardly ever sees the light of day, and when it does, it's like I'm sunning it, and it's just for that that sweet 5-10 minutes. So that would
Yeah.
be my way in about that. And then with the sunscreen, the reason people go for chemical sunscreens is because the white should sunscreens are so thick and goopy and create that Casper the Ghost look.
Mm,
And so we all know we should go for that
yeah.
sunscreen that's mineral based and natural. But when it's this thick, and you have a white sheet
Yeah.
appearing over you, it's harder. And that's the lure of chemical sunscreen, because they're very light, they don't leave that. They cause more sun irritation. But now there's something called translucent zinc, which some
Okay.
It's becoming more popular. I sell a sunscreen. It's not my own label, another label, where you can have this zinc that's mineral, but it's translucent, and they can be
Interesting.
formulated to be lighter. It's not the
Because zinc
banana
oxide,
boat,
zinc oxide form.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So it's all mineral based, but it's translucent. So that's made the difference for my clients,
Very
because
cool.
yeah, I mean, that's why people go for chemicals, is because the usability of it. And I want to say that that's the final deciding point on a sunscreen is, will you use it? Will you use it? You have to like it or
Yeah,
you won't use it. And then all
exactly.
sunscreen has to be reapplied every 2 hours. And that's where most sunscreen damage happens, is because nobody reapplies. And that's why loving your sunscreen, or the one that you've chosen for outdoor use, is something that you're willing to
Yeah.
actually put on every 2 hours. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. So you had mentioned something earlier about the gut. What would you say? Like, I see sometimes people on social media, they're very vulnerable and open with their skin issues, and they say they've tried everything.
Well,
Like,
they haven't tried me yet. I'll say
they
that.
haven't tried you. That is correct. But what would you
And that
say
what they're doing internally is really important. And
about
we could go back and forth, like, is the internal or is it the external? And I'd say, you know what? It's both.
that's
It's
what I was
all
gonna
of the above. Aging and health is an inside outside job.
that's what I was
So
gonna ask you. Like, what if you had to give somebody like your top 5 things to address in order to get, clear skin and clear up your issues, like what would you say
would that be
they need to
external or
address?
internal?
Both. Like, let's say if you had to
Both.
rank the top 5 most important things, both
This
internal
is
and
a fun game.
external.
Okay, so my first one, which is an umbrella answer, would be find a functional medicine doctor.
Mm,
Because they can get you off sugar, repair, any sort of weird addictions in your brain, that's going to like support a whole food diet, processed foods, retraining your taste buds to basically love what's going to love you back.
and also, as
um,
far as blood work, maybe like they take
yeah,
some
food
blood work and
allergies,
note it.
like a functional medicine doctor is going to balance hormones. They're going to get people on track internally. And
Gotcha.
then the other things that you can do for your skin is stop over scrubbing, stop over cleansing,
Mm,
abstaining from all of these things I'm talking about, and working towards hydration. Like, water is the fundamental need that our skin has, and it's a universal fundamental need body wide
yeah.
as well. So we have to move towards hydration. And so using a hydrophilic substance like hyaluronic or aloe vera gel, and being very strategic about putting a moisturizer over it. The act of putting a moisturizer over it that's not an oil-free moisturizer, that's a real moisturizer, is something that's called barrier restoration. And this might be a term people that have a lot of skin issues know this term. It's basically respecting our natural acid mantle and
Mm,
protecting and supporting that. Our skin has something called an acid mantle, and it's the mixture of our own sweat and oil. It's slightly acidic. And when germs, viruses, the sun come at our skin, when that acid mantle is in place, it's invisible. It's like a invisible residue. It's beyond paper thin. But when that's in place, our skin has equanimity. It's like it has oil, it has that little layer.
yeah.
and and it creates this like um peace, tranquility for the skin. And so by supporting that with a moisturizer, we're preventing water evaporation. We're
Got it.
inserting water with the hydrophilic substance, and then barrier restoration is the rebuilding of that and trapping that water in. And that plumps up fine lines and helps our pores function, because dehydrated skin is going to get congested. So everybody's cleansing, and they're
Over
making their
drying
skin
it. Yeah.
more and more and more congested, because it's not dirt that's congesting our skin. It's not makeup even.
Yeah.
It's the fact that our skin is so dehydrated that it's not properly, the pores aren't even functioning correctly. The
Mm.
oil can't even get out and lubricate our skin. All of those filaments and that oil is just backing up. It's basically constipated skin.
Oh, wow.
So this, fulfilling water for our skin, fulfilling barrier restoration, which is the not having this oil phobia. They need to talk to your wife and embrace oil.
Yep.
And then this other element that our skin is really hungry, and our skin gets nourishment from the inside out through our capillaries, through what we're eating, all of that. But now we have this ability to put miracle grow, if you will, from the top in to the garden of our skin, and support the dermal layer that way. We can feed our skin from the top down now, and that increases cell turnover. We replace the top layer of our skin more often. That's huge. I call it dermal malnourishment, and nobody has to go without anymore with this new ingredient, these bioavailable nutrients. And then the final thing that I would say is addressing this aspect of release. So our skin is a release organ. It is a release organ. It is a release organ. And it's hard to put this into people's brain because it's like, I mean, everything's being objectified these days, right? Including our skin. And our skin is not a static thing. It's a very dynamic process, and it's multi-layered. And so by fluffing up the layers of our skin, supporting it with the hydration, the barrier restoration, the dermal nutrients, what happens is our skin fluffs up and like starts becoming dynamic the way that it's supposed to be, and can move old congestion out. And usually people need to see me a few times the first year, but my ultimate goal, and this is very realistic, most of my clients see me less than once a year. So once we've detoxed our skin, set it on this path where it's self-cleansing, I'm hardly needed, and the skin does not self-congest because it's in this optimal state where it's hydrated, the barrier's restored, it's getting the nutrients that it needs, and we're staying out of its way, and we're allowing it to be skin. So there's like a lot of unrealistic expectations for skin. Going back to what's toxic about the beauty industry is that, perfect, flawless skin, no breakout ever.
Yeah.
But in that clinch, we've created worse problems. I'm into this thing called low drama breakouts, where our skin should be able to move a breakout within a day when skin is operating. It doesn't have to get backed up and caught in there. It's
the
our skin,
hyperpigmentation and last forever. And
like just let the whitehead move through. It's gone. I don't have to fish it out years later after it's become complicated and hard in the skin, because your skin is in the present moment, responding, reacting, and actually, emoting, if you will, on a day-to-day basis. And it's truly in that healthy state.
Absolutely. Are there any supplements that you recommend? Obviously I know you had mentioned the hyaluronic acid, but maybe like something that you could take internally. Like there probiotics,
really
no probiotics, nothing
that's
help you on
helpful. I
exterior?
think the biggest thing that people are doing that's sabotaging their internal health is processed foods and sugar.
Number one culprit.
I think
right
that's
there,
just, you can take no supplement that you will take will overcome that. And it's harder to do because we have to look at what we're consuming, and that becomes very emotional. And what we have to eat to feel okay, what we have to eat, to just cope with life. Food issues are very deep. You're married, this. So we have to go deeper than trying to buy a supplement to fix these baseline things. Like there's no other way.
That's
We
true.
just have to eat vegetables and high quality protein.
So I was going to speak on that. Like any diets or lifestyle plans as far as food is concerned that you would recommend? Is it, anti-inflammatory, low glycemic?
All of it. Yeah, paleo, really.
Paleo.
I mean, I'm carnivore now. I made the transition over a year ago. My line is vegan.
Okay.
It's all plant-based, the nutrients, but anything that's going to bring down inflammation.
So talk about carnivore.
And I've been on every diet. I've been raw. I've been vegan. I've done the coconut thing. I've done nothing but juices. Like I've been on every diet. I'm almost 50. I've been on every diet over the years, and I've tried them all, and they all are important for people to go through. And I would never tell people what to do, but whatever they're doing, get as close to nature as possible and go all the way with it.
Love that. So speak on that, because I feel like a lot of people, that carnivore diet takes a bad rap because it's like, oh my God, you're eating all meat, you're going to get a heart attack, this and that, your
Yeah, there's a
skin,
lot of science
the whole
behind it.
nine. Yeah. Talk
There's
about how
that
it's
would support otherwise, and my body just voted yes. Like, I'm somebody
like, talk
that,
about that. Talk about like the changes and, what did you experience once
yeah,
you,
my inflammation gone, um, my skin more lubricated,
mm,
because, and I've been vegetarian most of my life, so believe you me, like, my friends, my family, my community is shocked. I am too, but my body voted yes, you know, and in
yeah.
like multiple ways. It got me out of the addictive looping with carbs,
Okay.
just by that deep nutrition. Like, my satiation quadrupled and my hunger went down, and I felt better. My blood sugar was more stable. And that's essentially, interestingly enough, like what Skin Harmonics does for the skin.
Yeah.
um, is that it covers the baselines and raises that foundation of skin health, where it eliminates so many problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
our skin
absolutely.
is hydrated, it's getting the nutrients, the barriers restored. It's like, you can't go out and buy 20 products to do what these three products can do.
Mm,
Like, you can, I mean, you can, but you're getting nowhere and you're wasting a ton of money. Like, I'm into efficiency. Like, that's my ultimate turn on, is like efficiency in all ways, considering all of these beautiful parts of life,
yeah.
emotions, the planet, all of it. It's not just efficiency in one domain, but like the whole, all of the realms of efficiency.
So
And that's
real,
what the Skin Harmonics does.
so real quick, I'm actually intrigued. What does a day of eating carnivore look like, just so you could describe that to my audience? And then I actually want you to get down to your three products that pretty much you
Okay, this is
say,
funny.
oh, only anybody
I
needs.
no, it's great. I'm not. Yeah, we can talk about carnivore. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of people that are into this right now. So I have a crock pot going
Okay.
where I crock pot like duck or lamb or buffalo. Like, I haven't had cow this entire time. I'm really into buffalo.
Love buffalo. Yeah.
And so I will slow cook things in this crock pot so that they're like super tender, really moist. And that's sort of my main thing. I've
Do you
discovered
mix it with
also,
anything, or is it
Mhm.
just straight meat, or do you mix it with
It's
anything?
a little bit of, it's garlic, salt, and pepper, and sometimes I add a little bit of mushrooms,
Okay.
tiny bit. Um, and that's kind of my main thing. I do egg yolks. I cook the eggs where they're like yummy and yellow and runny. And I have bacon. I feel like I spent my whole life like wanting but never giving myself bacon
Oh
as a
man, you missed
vegetarian. And
out.
so I'm having real bacon every day with these like really yummy, happy, bright yellow essential fatty acid, like the best money and farm can buy eggs. And I'm just exploring lots of different types of meat. And I do organ meats from buffalo,
Yeah.
liver, pancreas, heart.
So
They
nutritious. Yeah.
put, yeah, like
I've
fried
never tried
crock
it, but
pot. Yeah,
amazing
and you
for
can
you.
do taco seasonings. Like, I've done a lot with taco seasonings from a really good brand where it doesn't have corn and weird things in it, where it's almost like you're eating sausage and these, this, and you can wrap it in pepperoni slices.
Oh
Like,
wow.
it can be so delicious. And I've discovered crab. I've discovered a lot of seafood. I grew up in the desert, so I'm, like, wow, like I never knew, like, crab legs, like, phenomenal. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I've also discovered bone marrow that comes from buffalo and bison.
Yeah.
I've never had that before, and that is so delicious. I'll put like a little bit of butter and truffle salt on that. And I mean, it's just so delicious. So, as a major foodie, like, food enjoyment is like at the top of my list.
Yeah.
And when I first heard about carnivore, I was like, that's so sad. That's so sad. And
Yeah.
what I've discovered is like my food pleasure has gone through the roof, and I'm satiated. Like, my bones feel fed, and I only eat once a day. I eat all the way. I'm like fully, I eat 100%, where I'm not having to restrain myself,
So you're
and I'm
eating
done,
once a
and I don't think
day,
about food until the next day.
once a day. So you're fasting the rest of the way.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I have a little bit of the Honey Mama's chocolate. And some chai, decaf chai with raw cream in it as my dessert.
And
Because the Honey Mama's chocolate has honey in it. It's not sugar.
Yeah. No, honey. Yes, I follow a carnivore doc on social media, and he always
Yeah.
swears by the raw natural honey.
Yeah, it's so good. It's one of those things you just have to experience, because my brain would have said, hell no.
Yeah, it's like too
My
high in
my and I'm
sugar, and
still
yeah,
I'm still spiritually wrapping myself around it. Like, I'm
yeah.
not totally reconciled with the spiritual implications of hurting, but I'm
Yeah.
starting to think that if somebody eats me when I die, it'll be a compliment and a gift.
It's like, I am very
Is it
nutritious,
what
damn it.
becomes the conversation is what's happening between when we're born and when we die. What is that quality of life? And
Yeah,
the industry of how we're keeping animals is horrendous.
yeah,
Like, it should not be happening the way that it's happening. It's criminal, it's disgusting.
yeah.
But if we can evolve how we're raising animals with love, with so much care, with dignity, including ourselves, like, mm, you guys eat me afterwards, I'm all right with it.
I'm okay with
If
it.
you
I'm
love
okay with
me,
it.
it's okay.
And what do you think about? I mean, I love that you said you fast for so long. I mean, what
I'm not
effect do you think?
hungry, my body naturally does it.
What
I'm
effect do you
not
think
hungry,
that?
I just hydrate.
And what effect do you think that has on the body as far as like that
It's
fasting
for
and that?
me, it's fantastic. My body needs time to metabolize. I mean, I would like to fast more. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even consider this fasting anymore. It's so normal.
yeah,
And I'm not working out a ton. Like, I do a 90-minute yoga class every day, a hot yoga class. I'm not weightlifting, I'm not running marathons, I'm not river guiding like I did in my 20s.
yeah.
I'm not pregnant. Like, all of that is like behind me, and I'm just like I'm in this mindset of, how can I increase blood flow in a positive way, not cross that line, and preserve what I have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's dive into your three main products real quick. Just kind of like give a
Okay.
description and how they can help the
Yeah,
audience.
let's get back to skin. Yeah, well, this will have to be like the carnivore mini podcast or something.
Yeah.
So what I've done with my skincare line is I created a very few products. Like, I didn't create a cleanser because there's already cleansers. I didn't create sunscreen. There's already sunscreen. There's a lot of products I didn't make, and I'm dying to make so many, but I had to start like super basic. So I made a hydrating mist that's universal to all skin types,
Hmm,
which is rose water and medical grade oxygenated water. It's fantastic for penetration, for purity, and then the magic of Bulgarian rose. Like, you just can't argue with that. And then I made three different serums. One is, they're all hydrating, but the first serum is all about soothing the skin and on ramping and rehabbing skin that's over procedured or really grumpy or irritated. There's no nutrients in that. There's no need to push that yet. It's just like, let's rehab your skin to get it to the next level. That's the first
gotcha.
serum. And then the middle serum has nutrients and the dermal antioxidants in it, as well as the hydrating factor, and that's where most people start. It's called Fortify. And
Gotcha.
that's the place where I start almost anybody that doesn't have inflammation issues. And then the final serum has the dermal nutrients, but twice as many. So it's for
Mm,
people that I'm actively resurfacing their skin. We're actively moving acne out, moving pigment out. We're trying to remove sun damage.
gotcha.
Oftentimes that's the best for nighttime use only, and
Gotcha.
Fortify is great for the morning. And then I made this really, really unusual product called Lamina, and it's like barrier restoration to the next level. I outdid
Okay.
myself because I've had a moisturizer before this, but this is like next level. You have to friction it with your hands. It comes so dense with shea
Mm,
and cocoa butter that you have to scoop it with a shell, and you friction it in your hands, and it turns into honey. Like, it turns into like silky warm honey,
like
but
melts in your
you have to
hands.
warm it up. Like, you knock at it when it's in the container and you're like, what the heck is this? But you scoop it, you scrape it out. It's very goobery. It's so
Huh.
dense. Would never even call it a cream. It's more like a hard pomade, but it melts incredibly with warm hands. And then it turns into this liquid, and you put it over the mist and the serum, and that locks all of the water in our skin and ends hydration. Like, it ends skin hydration, which is the biggest thing that everybody's suffering with. And everybody has so many problems stemming from dehydration topically. So then, yeah, go ahead.
No. So I just wanted to recap. So you put on the mist, then you put on the serum, whichever one it is,
Yep.
maybe the one in the morning and the other one at night. Yeah. And then you put on the final lacquer.
Lamina. It's a whole new thing. Yeah. I've created a whole, little category of skincare, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the basics. And then I do sell a really fantastic vitamin C powder, which you mix live and fresh with your serum, so that doesn't have a chance to oxidize. We don't have to work with a lot of preserving chemicals. It's real sunscreen, or not, sorry,
vitamin
it's real vitamin C, to where it like does the thing really potently. Most people can't use it every day. And then I made an enzyme pack for exfoliation, because I do believe in exfoliation. I just believe doing it with intelligence. And so once a month, you put this pudding, if you will, this pack on your skin, and it exfoliates and resets water levels. So instead of exfoliating and always dehydrating our skin, we can exfoliate it perfectly without harming our skin and reset water levels. And that's my last product.
So interesting. So just to finish off, Danny, I feel like I've learned so much today about skin and skin health. Where could people find you? Like, drop your handles, like your websites, whatever you got going on, so that the people could find you.
Yeah, Skin Harmonics. I'm that way on Facebook. I'm that way on Instagram. I'm that way on the big wide web. If people put in /podcast, I made a landing page just for your people, that if they sign up for my newsletter, they'll get a really good coupon, not a bad coupon, like one that's more than 10%. I hate it when people give me 5 and 10% coupons. I'm like, but this is a good coupon. They go and they sign up, they'll have that off their first order. But I wrote a book. It's on YouTube called Relearning Skincare, the Story of Skin in the New Way. They'll get the PDF to that, or the link to that they can go on YouTube and listen to that as well.
Interesting. That's great. Thank you so much for that offer for my audience. But yeah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. I've learned a lot. I think the audience is going to love this episode, because I mean, who isn't into skincare, right? Everybody wants to look good, feel good.
What my ultimate aim to do is to just penetrate this madness and this hypnotism that's pretty much subconscious at this point. Like, we've all been trained a certain way, where we grab the scrubby pads, we grab the witch hazel, we're scrubbing, we're using oil-free moisturizers, we're signing up for that laser peel. All of this has been like, we've been really well-trained consumers. And I'm like saying, like, there's another way for people who are paying attention and want to get ahead of what's available mainstream. Like, my ultimate dream is that those conventional protocols will be so not used in 15 or 20 years. Insurance will cover this method. Like, it'll just be replaced by the functional medicine method, which is my medicine, but out of pure competency, nothing else. Like, we always go towards what works.
Absolutely.
So it would be, it's so good. I want to just share to people that there is another way. I've pioneered it. I've streamlined it. And they can find me, and they can do better by their skin with all the money that we're spending. Like, we have to go to a better place.
Yeah.
It's just not acceptable. The money and the time, emotionally, all of it that we're doing, and we're ending up in such a bad place. I don't even know how the skin industry has been allowed to exist as it is for so long. Like, I'm baffled. And I'm just here to write a new story, basically.
No, and I love it. You're doing it in a natural, concise. I mean, it seems like a pretty easy step program to follow. And like, I love that it's natural. So kudos to you. And I wish you the best with your company and Skin Harmonics.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
All right, Danny. Well, it was a pleasure. And let's keep in touch, and good luck with everything. All right. Take care.